This is Olivia Osgood, and you are listening to the How to Quit Working Show. I'm glad that my mommy's an entrepreneur so that we get to spend lots of time together and she gets to homeschool me.
This is the How to Quit Working Show. Jeff Steinman believes entrepreneurship is the only true path to freedom. That's why he created the How to Quit Working Show, where you'll hear stories, insights, and inspiration from lifestyle fanatics who left their soul-sucking 9-to-5 job forever. Now, here's your host, author, entrepreneur, and ultimate lifestyle fanatic, Jeff Steinman.
Hello and welcome to the How to Quit Working Show. This is Heather Osgood, your host of the Friday show. I am so glad that you're here with me today because I have some wonderful things that I'm going to share with you. But before I get started, I want to make sure that you have had a chance to check out our new daily podcast. If you haven't listened to the daily show, you have got to check it out. It is awesome. Jeff Steinman has been working super hard to put together this podcast, and really it's just, they're just little quick tips. So for about 4 or 5 minutes each day, you can go on, you can listen to just a bit of inspirational messaging, really something to get you excited and really just in tune with what it is that you want to create in life. We know that you want to quit your job. We know that you want to start a business, or maybe you have already, and this is just going to be that little kind of shot in the arm that really just gets you going and gets you motivated. So whether you're driving to a job that you really wish you weren't at, or whether you are just diving into creating this company that you have dreamed about for years, these little quick tips are going to just be a chance for you to really get that mindset where it needs to be and get your day started off right. If you haven't subscribed to the daily podcast, I recommend that you do that immediately. That'll ensure that you don't miss an episode. Go to howtoquitworking.com/daily and you'll be connected. You can get all the information you need, and you have got to check it out because it has been just an incredible podcast and really just a great chance for you to connect with us every day. So I hope that you check it out. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the importance of time. Now, when I talk to people, I always ask them what they feel is really holding them back from creating what it is that they want in life. And people, I would say, across the board say one of two things. I know that you can guess the answer. It's really not all that hard to come up with. They want more time, or they want more money, or they want both. And I think that this is a question that holds each and every one of us back. We all wish that we had more time. We all wish that we had more money. And so I have a question for you really to think about. How much time do you really need? And how much money do you really need? When is it going to be enough? When is the time going to be enough? When is the money going to be enough? I think the answer to that question that I'm given most frequently is probably, well, when I feel like I have the opportunity to really enjoy myself, when I feel like I have the money that I need to really do the activities that I want to do and the time that I have to do those activities. And, maybe that's your answer. Maybe that is your enough. But I want you to really just kind of dig down deep and think about identifying what that actual number is. So what is that dollar amount? What is that, what is that time amount? You really need to have at least an hour a day where you could do whatever you wanted to, or where you had that space to create some, flexibility within your life. Maybe that means you want a whole week off a month. I know Barbara Corcoran takes 1 week off every month, which I think is a phenomenal idea. Maybe you want to take a month off every year. Maybe you want to take 3 months off every year. But really kind of coming up with what that enough is for you will really help, because if you don't decide what it is that you actually want, you'll never know if you've arrived. You'll never know if you've actually gotten what it is that you really want to get, And most people don't actually assign a number to it because truthfully, typically it serves us much better just to say that I don't have enough. I'm not enough. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. And really all that is just creating an excuse for yourself so that you have the capacity to keep doing whatever it is that you're doing and you don't have to change. So I really want to challenge you to identify what that number is for you. Now, in my life, I have had this massive pendulum swing. I have come from working my entire life to a place now where I have a lot more flexibility. Even when I owned my companies, when I've owned my businesses, I have always dedicated at least 40 hours per week, if not most of the time more, to really focusing on my business creation, focusing on really growing my companies. And my trade show production company that I just sold last year was no different. When I left at the time, I had 7 staff members. That was a number that had increased and decreased over the years, but at the time I had 7 staff members, and I was working 40 plus hours a week. I mean, there's no question about it. That was what I was dedicating, and that's really what I wanted to dedicate. And truthfully, I would like to have dedicated even more time than that 40 hours. And, part of the reason that I decided that I really wanted to make a change in my life is because I do have 2 small children in addition to my older son. And I wanted to have that opportunity to be more present with my children. I really felt like I was constantly putting the company on a higher platform than my children, that I was always really kind of choosing to work in the company because it was so important to me. And, you can get a babysitter, you can get a daycare person, but you can't hire somebody to run your company. So, it was always kind of one of those choices that I made. And I decided that I wanted to be more present with my children. I really felt like they deserved to get the best of me. And I didn't feel like I was providing that for them. And so I made this change in my life, and it was a huge change in my life. I had really been committed to this idea that I needed to work at least 40 hours per week. And if I wasn't working 40 hours per week, then I really wasn't doing my best. I wasn't giving my all. I wasn't giving my best self. And I really felt like that's what I needed to do in order to create the income that I wanted for myself and for my family. And, it was a huge pendulum swing for me when I made that choice to say, no, I'm not going to put in 40 hours per week working in a business or working at a job. And it's, truthfully, it has been challenging for me. I'm used to that. That's what I'm accustomed to. And as nice as it sounds to, have that flexibility to do whatever you want, whenever you want, it really it can be a challenge. And part of the reason it's a challenge for me is because I'm a very structured person. I enjoy the routine and I enjoy the structure of knowing what I'm going to do and when I'm going to do it and how I'm going to do it. And when you're at home with 2 small children, you really don't know what's going to happen or when it's going to happen. Things just unfold, and that's just kind of how your day goes. So, stack lots of those up and see how much fun that is. But anyways, my husband is also an entrepreneur, and he and I got to talking, and he said, you know what, I really think that you need to have the opportunity to work more on your business development. And I have really been enjoying balancing kind of having my kids and doing that. And then also really working to grow my coaching practice here with the How to Quit Working program. But I really did love his offer and this opportunity to spend some more dedicated time really growing what I am most passionate about, and that is businesses. And so my week came where he said he would give me the opportunity to work 40 hours. And I had been looking forward to it. I was really excited. I had really built up in my mind that this week was just going to be the most phenomenal week. I was going to get so much accomplished, and it was going to be so wonderful. And so that week was last week for me. And let me tell you, it was a little bit of a different experience, a little different than I kind of had hoped that it might be. And so I just kind of want to share some of my learning, process with you and really just help you to kind of change your mindset when it comes to time. So what I accomplished, first of all, was that I had changed my mindset, but unfortunately, I had not changed my mindset in a positive way. In the past, here I am trying to balance my children and my family and also really create a dynamic company and a dynamic business. And so, I've had a fairly scheduled, regimented day where I know what times I'm going to be with my children. I know what times, whether it's when they go to bed or whenever it is, that I'm going to be dedicating time to working on my, business development tasks. And so I went into this week thinking, you know what? I don't need to worry about that. I'm going to have 40 hours. 40 hours. That is going to be so many hours. I'm going to get so much done. I'm going to call so many people. I'm going to talk to so many people. I'm going to record 10 episodes of the podcast. I'm just, I'm kind of going into it thinking I'm really just going to conquer the world. I'm going to redo all the things we're doing in our haircutting business. I just had this list of great things that I was going to accomplish. My crucial error was that I went into it thinking that I had a lot more time than I actually did. So instead of staying really regimented with I'm going to work on this task for an hour, then I'm going to move on and I'm going to work on the next task, or I'm going to create time caps for myself and really create that plan of action, I went into it with a big list and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to sit down, I'm not going to stress about it, and I'm just going to work through it. And that is a really bad plan. I knew that was a bad plan going in, but I didn't spend enough time really strategizing about how to best use my time. I just kind of figured that I had it covered, that I was good, I could take care of it. And really, I did spend some incredible time, working on some things that I really wanted to get accomplished. And, and I did do some wonderful things, but I also spent a lot of time on the internet. I spent a lot of time just looking at things and researching things that, the internet is one of the biggest time suckers out there because it's just, it's a massive rabbit hole. So you can go from one link to the next link to the next link to the next link, and pretty soon you've got 3 hours that have gone by. And when I didn't have that time constraint of, I've only got 3 hours to work in total today, it's like, well, I've got lots of time. It's okay if I spend 4 hours on the internet. Well, it turns out that wasn't the most productive use of my time. So I really want to encourage you to think about your, really your plan of action. Do you have something specific that is a written plan? And typically what I do is I do write out from the time that I wake up to the time that I go to bed what exactly I'm going to do and when I'm going to do it. Now, I never stick to that plan. It's never like on the minute or even on the hour sometimes, but really it gives me a general overview of approximately when I'm going to do something. And that helps me tremendously. And I didn't do that for my week because I thought that I had more time than I actually did. So I really want to encourage you to really think about doing good time planning. The next thing I want you to really think about is your time mindset. And just really kind of reflecting over the many years that I have worked 40 plus hours a week, and kind of contrasting that with where I'm at now, I don't necessarily think that I'm getting a lot less accomplished right now, even though I'm not working 40 hours a week. And the reason is that I've cut away a lot of just kind of the mumbo jumbo that you do. And a good analogy for me personally is homeschooling my daughter. When we homeschool, we get through things a lot quicker than you would in a traditional school environment, because when you're in a classroom with 30 plus students, it takes a lot longer to do everything. It takes a lot longer to quiet, your students down. It takes a lot longer to explain an assignment. It takes a lot longer to execute an assignment. And so realistically, when you're talking about homeschool, you really can get a lot more accomplished in a much shorter period of time because it's just you and that child, or even if it's just you and a few children, if you have multiple children. And it's the same thing with work. When you are just you and you are sitting down and you are just focusing on important, specific tasks, you are going to get a lot more accomplished. When you're working in that environment of a work environment where you kind of have to come in and say hi to everybody and get situated and get your coffee and get your donut and get your, everything lined up just right, that can take 2 or 3 hours before you actually really start working. And then when you think about any transition point within your day, any of the people that you're interacting with, all of those things take so much time. And really, when it comes to actual productivity, you're really not doing all that much. And I encourage you to really think about this as you're thinking about developing your business, because realistically, when you are just a person working alone, your environment is very different. And it's good and bad, depending on who you are and what it is that you like and what feeds into your growth or your strength as a person. I'm a people person, And sometimes working at home by myself can feel a little isolating. It might feel sometimes like I'm not, getting the recharge that I need. And so that's, that can be a challenge for me. And when I get into those places, I need to really focus on making my phone calls. I really need to focus my attention on my appointments that I have. I need to focus on networking events. Even online networking events can be a boost for me. If you're an introverted person, working at home can be phenomenal. If you don't have to interact with 50 people throughout the day, it can be a great recharge for you. But really think about that before you create your business and before you create your company, because those are things that are really going to be important to you down the road. When you create a company that has a ton of employees, all of those employees need to be managed. They all have needs. They all have wants. They all, need your attention. They need your care. They need your supervision. And that really creates a much different environment than if you are working at home by yourself. So think about that. And then I want you to really think about your time mindset. When you're going in to your job or your office, you are feeling like you have an abundance of time. I mean, most of us, when we go into the office on Monday morning, think, this is going to be a long week. Realistically, that's what we think. We think this is going to be a long week. This is going to be a challenge. And, realistically, how much time are you actually really, really spending working on things that are important or productive? How much time are you spending on, all kinds of things that really aren't profitable for you? So your time mindset is important. And when you feel like there is scarcity, sometimes that allows you to be more productive than when you feel like there's an abundance of it. So I want you to consider that. Next, I want you to really, really think about the idea of working on your business and not in your business. If you haven't read The E-Myth, you need to go pick it up. It's one of the best business books ever. And it really does kind of help set the stage. Now, if you haven't started your business and you're really just kind of maybe noodling on the idea or really kind of just thinking through the process of what it would be like to create a business, you may or may not want to read The E-Myth. But if you've gotten started at all in your company, I would highly recommend it. And in that book, Michael Gerber, the author, talks a lot about the difference between working on your business and working in your business. When you're working in your business, you're doing things that are actually business related. So as a hair cutter, if I'm working in my business all day, that's really not giving me the opportunity to work on my business. It's not giving me that opportunity to do things like big picture visioning for the company, or maybe even working on a really great marketing strategy, or maybe new products for the company. Anything that really kind of steers the vision or the bigger picture of the company. And so that's what's so important about really having that capacity to work on your business. And I really want you to also think about just the tasks that you are doing, period. I've noticed in talking with so many business owners or potential business owners that they tend to do things that really are unimportant to the actual company. So they might be labeling file folders or reorganizing their emails, or maybe they're evaluating, what the best color would be for their logo for days on end. They're really doing these tasks that just get them bogged down in just kind of the minutia of running a business and not actually really creating money. You have to be a sales-focused organization, period. I want you to ask yourself, with every task that you're doing, is this a task that is going to make me money? And I'm not meaning, is this a task that's going to make me money 2 or 3, generations down the road? I mean, of course you could say, well, if I have properly organized file folders, then when I go to retrieve X, Y, and Z paper, it'll be right there at my fingertips, and that will create the ability for me to provide good customer service. And when I'm providing good customer service, then I'm going to be able to retain my clients better, and they're going to keep coming back. And I'm not saying those things aren't important. They are important. But you need to spend way more time actually doing activities that make you money. And if you're not doing the things that are actually making you money as an organization, then really it doesn't matter how well organized your file folders are, because ultimately you're going to go out of business because you don't have enough business. Now, a lot of these concepts obviously scale too. If you are one person working on your business and you are a solo entrepreneur, you're going to have very different different needs than if you have a company that's built up to have 5 plus, 10 plus, maybe even 50 plus employees. When you have more employees, your whole landscape changes. But if you are just a person working by yourself, you do need to have that solid visioning. You really need to have a plan for where you're going and how you're growing your company. And then you really, really need to focus on sales related activities. If you are a leader of an organization and you have employees under you, whether it's just a few or whether it's a lot, then your role becomes very different. Your role is a leadership role, and you need to show that strength. You also need to show that you expect all levels of your organization to be focused on those sales generating activities. And if they're not focused as a whole, if your company isn't a sales focused organization, you as the leader need to figure out how to shift that so that that is, the priority of the company. We can't help our employees and we can't help our customers if we don't have a business. And so it's super important for us to always remember to return to the fundamentals. And when it comes to time management, it's very frequent that people feel overwhelmed, they feel bogged down. And part of the reason is they're doing a lot of things that are just really time wasters and are not contributing to the success of the organization. So I want you to really, really examine that and really think about what it is that you're doing. I want you to next really identify what are your biggest time suckers. So for me in the past, in my companies that I've owned, email is a huge time sucker. I cannot tell you how happy I get when I open my email in the morning and I have like 4 or 5 emails, because that is such a wonderful number. It is so manageable. And when you open your email box and you get, like, in the past, I have gotten easily upwards of 100 emails a day. I'm sure that there are some of you out there who are like, 100 emails a day, that would be awesome. I'd love that. I'm sure some of you get way more than that. But when you get to that number, you can spend hours managing your emails, and it is just so much work. And so that can be a huge time sucker. You also can have the time sucker of maybe just constant interruptions, whether it's your employees coming to interrupt you or whether it's your phone calls, people calling in and you really having to spend lots of time talking to somebody when maybe ultimately that person isn't actually really providing, you what you need from them. Maybe they're not a customer. Maybe you can tell they're never going to be a customer. Or they're just really, someone who's just taking a lot of your time. So emails, phone calls, people coming in, even the UPS person coming in, those are all the types of things that just get you off track. They take away your focus, and you don't have that ability to really work on what's important. So I want you to really identify where are your time suckers and how can you change those. Now, there are some incredible programs out there. If you are a person that struggles with your ability to stay focused when you're on the internet, oftentimes, I would say most often, we do need to get on the internet to conduct work, to, make progress in what we're doing. And yet it's so easy. I crack up because when I open up my Safari, I go immediately to Facebook. That's where I head because that's where I don't know why. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. I type in the F, up here comes Facebook, and there I am for, way too long generally. So there are programs where you can actually set it so that you cannot access certain websites. Maybe you need to be banned from Amazon, or maybe you need to be banned from, Twitter or something. If there's a website in particular that is really distracting you, I would encourage you to put those blocks on for yourself so that you don't have the capacity to go and spend hours, on the internet when you don't need to. The other program that I learned about recently that I thought was a brilliant idea is one where it won't allow you to actually see what's in your Facebook news feed. So you can go and post and do all kinds of things, and you can respond to posts, but it won't let you see your personal news feed. So if you're going on your Facebook page for work purposes, you're really focused on work. You're not focused on, your great aunt Sarah's 50th wedding anniversary, or, your friend Susie's new baby, or whatever distraction you come up with on Facebook, or whatever social media site is a huge distraction for you, think about really, really structuring those. So think about your time suckers and think about, number one, is there a program out there that can help you, or is there a new strategy that you could put in place that will really, really help you kind of get over the hump? Now, with emails, I would say across the board, my favorite technique with email is turn off all of your email notifications. You don't need to know when you got an email, because chances are half the time it's probably somebody trying to sell you something anyways. So turn that notification off. You don't need to know that that email is coming in. And then next, set specific times each day when you're going to plan to check your emails. You might decide that you're going to check your emails at 10 o'clock and 3 o'clock, maybe 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock. You can set those times. And, really, I have found that when I do that, it's very helpful for me. I have tried to be kind of rigid with checking my email, and it has created some problems when I've had too many employees. And what I do recommend in that case, if you do have a lot of employees and you do a lot of interacting with your employees via email, perhaps you check it more frequently, but just resist the urge or that temptation to check it every 5 minutes. It's like a compulsion, I think. Sometimes you're on your computer and you're like, gotta check my email, gotta check my email, gotta check my email. And it's really, the problem is that it totally derails you from the activity that you're doing. And I mean, I've heard studies that show that if you are focused on a task and then you go into your email, that it can take you easily 20 to 30 minutes to refocus on what it is that you were doing. And if you think about how many times every day you're leaving your task that you're actually working on to go check your email, think about how much time that is actually really, really costing you. The other idea is that if you have a project that you really need to focus on, go somewhere and have some space, whether it is your office with a closed door, whether it's you working from home for the afternoon, whatever it is that you need, create space for you to focus on projects. Because when you focus on a project, you're going to get it done much quicker, and the result is going to be much better than having to kind of deal with that constant chaotic environment. So with emails, like I said, set times when you're going to specifically check emails. The other recommendation that I would have for you is to not check your emails first thing in the morning. If you have a plan of action that you've created the night before, or maybe first thing in the morning for your day, your top 3 goals for your day, what exactly you want to get accomplished, then really you should kick your day off by working on a power activity. Whether that activity is that you're going to make 10 sales calls out the gate, and that's your strategy is to make those 10 sales calls, which is a great way to kick your day off. Whether it's accomplishing a project, if you're maybe not in direct sales, whatever it is that you need to do, think about doing that as opposed to checking your email. What's going to happen when you check your email is your email is going to then dictate what tasks you're getting done for the day and how you're doing this. And that will be a huge issue for you, as opposed to really having that plan of action and you creating your day. So, really think about where those issues are in your day and try to eliminate them as much as possible. The next thing I want you to really, really examine is your support staff supporting you? So if you've gotten to a place in your business where you've decided that either you want to hire a VA or you want to hire maybe an actual, staff member, whether that's an assistant or whomever, I've found that most often people seem like they want to hire, either a front desk person or an assistant of some sort first. And that makes logical sense because typically they have the capacity to take tasks off your plate. But really make sure that that person is actually being supportive of you. And what I mean by that is that whenever you get someone new that's working with you, whether they be a virtual assistant, a VA, whether they be an actual employee, whether they're a contracted employee, in some capacity, there's going to be some sort of a learning curve. You're going to have to train them. You're going to have to create the tasks that you want them to do. And if you've never, transferred tasks to someone, that can be a challenge in and of itself to really, make sure that you're delegating communicating the correct activities to them. So that could take some time. And for a really, really sharp person, that could be as short as a week to 2 weeks. And for a slower learner, that could be up to 3 months. So you kind of have to just determine kind of where your pain threshold is with employees or with people that you work with, and determine how valuable they are to you and your organization. And then if you decide that they are valuable enough and you're willing to spend 3 months training them because you know they're going to be a rock star after that, then great. Or if you're like, gosh, I expect somebody to be up and running and like have this stuff in 2 weeks or a month, then, set that expectation. But once you get past that learning curve, these individuals should be supporting you. They should be helping to ease the tension. They should be helping you to create more abundance within your company, and they should be able to create time. So what I want you to think of is when you add a person, it should add to your bandwidth. It should be like you taking this deep breath. You should have this feeling of, I can breathe deeper now because I know I don't have to do everything. And if your employee or your assistant or whomever you're working with is adding to that tension, if you feel like this is complicating the situation, then you need to make some changes because it's really not helping you. It's costing your organization. So really, really analyze the support staff that you have and make sure they're a good fit for your company. Next, when you're thinking about hiring employees, I want you to really make sure that you're at a place in your company where you can actually afford to hire someone. Whether you're contracting with them or whether they're an employee, I want you to really, really make sure that you're not hiring someone just because you're increasing in business. So typically what happens is that there's this gap where you're going to have this acceleration in tasks or things that you need to get accomplished prior to actually making more sales. And then when you get to that place where you have more sales, typically you're going to need someone to help you. And if you're growing your organization at a good pace, you really shouldn't be able to do it all by yourself in most cases. So often you're going to need someone to help you. What you want to make sure that you're avoiding is you want to make sure that you're not just paying all of your profits to that person. So let's say over the course of the year, you expect your sales to increase $20,000. Well, if you've hired someone part-time and you're planning on paying them $18,000, it's not going to work out for you. That employee is going to end up costing you far more than they are delivering you in value. And whether that's an employee or a contractor, that number doesn't work. You need to make sure that whatever you are bringing in to cover the cost of that employee is actually adding to the profitability of your organization. So make sure that you're factoring your profit margins correctly, that you are covering this salary with profit and not just with gross income. And then look at how much more is that person going to be able to deliver and how is that going to actually increase the profitability of your company. Managing people is a lot of work. And when you're talking about time suckers, employees can be one of the biggest time suckers in any business. We think that it's going to be a lot easier, but realistically, surrounding yourself with a lot of people means that you suddenly are becoming a manager. You are someone that is going to have to make sure that you have the capability of actually getting in to these individuals' minds and inspiring them to create greatness within themselves and within your organization. And if you don't feel like you're at a place where you have the capacity to do that, really, really take a second thought because employees can be big, big time suckers. Make sure that when you bring somebody on board that they're really, really contributing to the overall profitability because it feels like we're getting more time. It feels like we should be able to do more. And if you're not able to do more, then there's probably an underlying issue somewhere that needs to be addressed. So I want you to really, really consider that. So those are my concepts for you. Those are my my ideas for you to really, really think about making sure that you're maximizing the time within your company. Make sure that you're maximizing what it is that you have. And then the last message that I wanted to leave you with that I think is so, so important is I will never forget when I was reading the 4-Hour Workweek, listening to Tim Ferriss's take on working 40 hours per week. Everyone in the world does not need to work 40 hours in order to accomplish the same goal. To think that every person had that magical number of 40 hours is absolutely ludicrous, and he talks about it in his book. And reading that really changed my mindset, because I don't need to work 40 hours a week to be productive. I don't need to work 40 hours a week in order to create the goals and the dreams that I have for myself. I might like to work 60 hours a week. I might like to work 80 hours a week sometimes. And when I want to do that, I want to have that capability, that freedom, that flexibility to do what I want to do when I want to do it, which is why creating a company for yourself is such an awesome route for you in life. However, really examine what your expectations are and realize that just because you have more time doesn't mean you're going to be more productive. And at the end of the day, we're all looking for productivity. And when I say productivity, I mean that we're actually really creating something. We're creating a solid organization that really delivers a solid product to someone who needs it, whether it's a product or a service, that really we're helping our customers, that we're creating something that the world is going to be a better place because we're delivering this product or service. And in return, the world is giving us money for that. So really examine what you're doing with your time, how you're spending your time. And, we all would love to have more time, but realistically, across the board, we all do things that are really big time wasters, that are really not at all contributing to who we are as individuals and really allowing us to be our best selves. So I really want you to think about, in your personal life, in your work life, in your business creation, where are those places where if you eliminated a task, it would create so much more space for you and get you that much closer to actually becoming the person that you want to be, doing the things that you would like to do. I hope that this has been helpful. I have really enjoyed talking with you, and if you're thinking that you would really like to have someone come in and just analyze your life, you would like someone to come in and take a look at how you're spending your time, whether it be personally, whether it be in your job, whether it be in your business creation activities. If you're ready to take that next step and really become the person that you know you want to be, doing the things that you want to do, and having that opportunity to really use time to your benefit, I would love to talk to you. I am currently taking on a few more coaching students, and if you're thinking that you would like to be coached, I would love to have the opportunity to just talk to you, see what some of your hopes, your dreams, your goals, and aspirations are, and really work on a plan to get you to creating those. You can reach me at heather@howtoquitworking.com. You're also always welcome to call me. You can find all of my contact information at howtoquitworking.com/coaching. And I would just love to talk to you about where you're at in your journey. And please feel free always to reach out, whether it's just with a question or, really anything that you need help or assistance with. I would love to help you further your journey. And I would love to help you start a freedom lifestyle creating business, because it is wonderful not to feel like I have to work 40 hours a week. It is wonderful to have the freedom and flexibility to be present with my family, to be present with my husband, and to really do what I love and am so passionate about. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you very soon.
Thanks for joining us on the How to Quit Working show. Tune in next time when we'll talk to another amazing person just like you, who is now living the ultimate life of freedom and doing it on their terms. If you want to learn how to quit working and get these episodes delivered directly to you, visit howtoquitworkingshow.com.